Greetings, Star Citizens, and welcome to another beautiful day in the verse. Today, we take a look at a ship that I have never looked at before, and that is the Cutlass ship. So, with all the other ships that I've looked at in the Quantum Test Drive series, all of them I've flown to some degree. Some more than others, but all of them I have flown at least once. However, with the Cutlass, I have never flown a Cutlass. I've never been in a Cutlass. I've never even inspected a Cutlass. I never even knew it had so many size 3 weapons. So we can get 5 size 3 weapons. Obviously, they're not all going to be gimbaled. If we wanted them gimbaled, we'd have to have size 2s on the front. And the top turret works like the Super Hornets turret, so that can be slaved to the pilot, or it can be manned by another person. But for this video, I'm going to be slaving that to myself, but I'm probably going to be fixing it because of the fixed guns, because I like my Panther repeaters, and you can't have enough Panther repeaters, so I'm probably just going to play all 5 fixed, and that's going to be a lot of damage. I mean, if you think, when you think size 3 weapons, that's what the Saber uses, and the Saber uses 4 of them. So you've got essentially 1 extra weapon over the Saber. Now, obviously, you're a bigger ship, you're a slower ship, and depending whether things have changed and whether things have been fixed, I genuinely don't know. But the Cutlass might have some flight issues, and that is the reason why I haven't flown a Cutlass, is because with these moving engines on the sides and the back ones, they all completely rotate. The flight mechanics got a little bit interesting, and it was pretty much unflyable from what I've heard. Obviously, I've never experienced it myself because I was put off by that. I was put off by the fact it just didn't work from what I heard. But if we take a look inside, it is a fairly big ship on the inside, considering the outside. The outside, it doesn't look like much, it just looks like a big wedge of a ship. But it's got a little bit of cargo space. You can put some stuff in here, you can fit a little bit of cargo. You can't really fit anything really big because you've only got a small hangar door. So the crates are going to have to be the same size as this hangar door. So you couldn't literally just fill this back bit with some sort of really big crate. But this ship is going to be ideal for pirates, bounty hunters, etc. because you've got the cargo, you've got the docking capability, so you can dock 2 other ships straight out the bat. And we have just got into the turret, which I didn't want to do, but nevertheless, so the turret comes down and we get this turret view, which is pretty limited, to be honest. You can't really see much left and right. Not sure how I feel on that turret, but I am going to try and get into the cockpit. I would like to get into the cockpit. That is what I was trying to... Oh, and I've got back in the turret again. God damn it. You can tell I've never flown this ship before, or been in this ship before. Actually, I tell a lie. I think I have been in the ship because I do recognize the back. I do recognize this hangar bit. But I don't know if I'm just making that up. I don't know if I just saw it in a video and just I felt immersed and I felt like I was there. Right, which one of these opens the bloody door? Is it this one? Okay, no, that opens that. Just push buttons and find out what stuff does. Is it the top one? Just make sure I get this right because I don't want to get in. There we go. We got that open. So we got a very Drake style cockpit. Obviously Drake are known for sort of their rugged, sort of just slapped together, if it works, fly it sort of look. So you can see the cockpit is just sort of very rough edged, very unpolished. And we do have a co-pilot, which is interesting. So essentially you could have a crew of 3, but nevertheless, let's take this thing out into the verse and see if she is flyable at all. And we are here, we're in the verse, and there's a lot of people in the verse. Or should I say around Olisar. I think this is the most people I've seen, and we've got a Starfarer, which I think is probably why everyone's around, because I know when I fly my Starfarer around, everyone just seems to sort of just gravitate towards it. Oh, we've got shooting. Is that? Yeah, wow, that's a lot of security shooting at someone. It's not the Starfarer, it is that guy. What is he flying? I don't recognize that ship. Oh, okay, it's a Cutlass. It was just the low poly version because it was far away. I mean, I did not know what ship that was. I was thinking it was a Polaris, but yeah, that's not possible. So yeah, the one thing that a lot of people don't like, I've read about it, I've never experienced it, is that these moving engines cause very broken flight mechanics, and I'm not sure sort of like how, because I've not read too deeply into it because I've never had a Cutlass. Oh, okay, so we got the engines to turn. That was weird. That was that felt like a little bit wobbly. I wouldn't say it was completely unplayable, but obviously I wasn't in the cockpit, so I don't know sort of what aiming would have been like then, but that felt very wobbly when I did that. So I can already kind of see what people are talking about. But we'll see when we get into actual combat. We'll test it out. I mean, that was difficult. I had to decouple to get those engines to move. So I don't know if it's only in decoupled mode that you get broken flight. And if that's the case, then I'm not too fussed. I mean, I am in the habit of using coupled in fights, but I don't have to. Using decoupled mode, sorry, in the fight, but I could easily fight coupled. It's not a problem for me. And we got quite a lot of ships at the ICC as well. Quite a busy day in the verse for once. Normally there's just loads of people just sitting around doing nothing, but it's actually quite an active verse we've got into here. So let's do this ICC mission. Hopefully the probe, where the probe is also busy, because that will mean lots of pirates. Lots of pirates means I can test this ship out. Oh, okay, that was weird. I just boosted to the left. Wow, we can turn very quickly in this. Like that is extremely quick turning. That's impressive. I would say that makes it really agile as a fighter, but although it turns very quickly, it doesn't stop very quickly. It's sort of got a bit of a delay in that it just sort of wobbles when you stop, so it doesn't really make it that agile. It does make it very quick turner though, so that might make it, that might give it a bit of an advantage in some fighting situations, but like I said, the ship feels a little bit wobbly at the moment, and it's very hard to describe. I mean, obviously, if you've flown the Cutlass, then you probably know what I'm talking about. But chances are, if you're watching this, it might be because you don't have a Cutlass. You might be planning on getting a Cutlass, but you've read all these things about the engines making it fly like jelly. And I personally haven't seen many videos sort of explaining what makes it fly like jelly. I've seen a few, but I've never experienced it, and it's hard to sort of relay the message in a video about how a ship flies, because it's kind of like watching a plane fly and trying to figure out what it feels like to fly. And obviously, sat behind a computer isn't anything like flying a ship or a plane by any stretch of the imagination, but when you're playing and you're giving the input and getting the feedback, you kind of know what you're doing and what's happening. And okay, I can see problems there. So it seems to be when you boost, and I do that a lot. I boost a lot and I afterburn a lot, and that seems to be what makes it wobbly. If you turn and you boost, it kind of goes a bit, it just kind of goes wild, and it just doesn't go where you want it to go. And that's the best way I could describe it. Like, then I just sort of, I went to do a 180 and boost like I normally do to catch up with someone that I just passed, and it just, yeah, you see it goes down, which I did not tell it to go down then, and it goes all over the place. So it just sort of does a bit of a spiral. That was some nice hits. And I've also just noticed we don't actually have all 5 turrets, so maybe I was wrong about being able to slave that turret. Maybe that was a bit of false information. I thought you could slave the turret to the pilot, but it seems that's not the case. It seems that is a fixed turret that you have to have someone in. So we only have 3 sides for these, which is still pretty good, especially if you do have a gunner sort of having that additional damage. But yeah, the flight, this is like, I'm not doing the circle here, I'm just trying to control the circle. But if you boost, it just sort of it does like a death spiral. It's like a plane stalling. It just goes into a death spin, and yeah, I can see why people are put off by it. Now, should that put you off from buying the Cutlass? I wouldn't say so. I think that really depends what you want the Cutlass for. I mean, if I just noticed that the computer says congratulations when you kill someone. That's adorable. But I think if you want a ship to fly right now, then I would probably say yes, it should put you off flying a ship. It should put you off getting a Cutlass if you want one to fight with now, because to me this, especially fighting against players, this would just make it absolutely unfightable. You're just not going to compete in any way whatsoever, and you can see kind of what it does there. It's like one engine goes off on its own, and I mean, I'm doing a turn to the left and the right, and the back engine is sort of thrusting downwards, which it shouldn't do. I mean, yeah, I'm not sure what causes it. Obviously, I'm not the developer. Only the developers could really give an in-detailed explanation as to why. But I think it's because Star Citizen doesn't function like most games would. So if we look at Elite Dangerous, for example, and I know I'm probably going to get shot in the back for making comparisons to other games, but if you can compare Star Citizen to Elite Dangerous for a second, Elite Dangerous functions like a typical game functions when it comes to the flight dynamics, and that is that you have the ship, and the ship just has forces applied to it. These are artificial forces. So when you go forward, it sends a script which just tells the ship to go forward. There's no actual thrust generated. It's just moving the ship forward, and it'll just move it from its center of gravity. So you don't have to deal with physics, you don't have to deal with center of gravity or any of that sort of stuff. Whereas Star Citizen does it all physically. So the engines are applying physical force. The engines are applying that forward force. And with the Cutlass, because the engines turn, that means that force isn't always a forward force. And I think the reason it's going all wobbly is as you're boosting, the engine, like say, if I'm boosting to the right, the engine on the right is going to try and flip 180 degrees. So it's a pivot motion, but it doesn't instantly flip. So there is a split moment where it's thrusting downwards or upwards, and that's going to cause the ship to spin. And so, like I said, should this put you off from getting a Cutlass? I think if you want a ship now, then yes, it probably should put you off, because you're not really going to be able to do much with it at the moment, unless you fly around without any boost or afterburner. But as for future proofing, I would say they are most likely going to fix this problem. They have already discussed ways of fixing the problem, and they've discussed if they cannot fix the problem, they will just replace the Cutlass with a different ship that is similar and that functions properly. So yeah, that's all for this video. I have enjoyed flying this ship. This ship's actually quite fun to fly, even though it's got a lot of problems. It is quite a cool ship, and I've never given it any sort of attention until now. But I am looking forward to this getting fixed, and if it does get fixed, I will probably pick one up. But I will see you guys in the next video. Laters taters.